Welcome back to Divekick Infinite. This is our Tuesday night show where we talk about characters and strategies. And tonight we'll be covering Mr. N. We're going to go ahead and show what N looks like. So this is Mr. N. He's nice and round. He's got two specials, Marnito and GTFO. Stands for Get the F Out.
First time, Mr. N.
Go ahead and jump in and talk about basics.
Select your jewels.
Let's start off with the kick gem as usual.
Select your duds.
We can go over gem specifics later.
This from above.
Mr. N is overall a pretty fast character.
Kick.
This is what his neutral looks like. His neutral jump, very high, pretty fast. I think the only people who out jump him are going to be Sensei and handstands only, and maybe Jafali with four heads.
Hurry up.
Kickback is a little bit shorter, goes back not a great amount, but definitely a lot shorter than his neutral jump. And this can get chased down, especially with how large Mr. N is. And the kick is not as steep as Redacted, but just as fast as Redacted's kick. So this is the same speed as Redacted's kick, but the angle is a bit better because it travels more. You also notice that Mr. N is kind of large, and we kind of want to talk about that combined with his kick. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here, show what it looks like. All right, so this part right here, I want to say is, let me get a little bit lower. This part right here is the kickbox of Mr. N, and then his hurt box is like that. That's not exactly the drawing, but that's pretty much how big his hurt box is, and it overlaps a little bit into his kickbox. And his kickbox is fairly large, and usually if you can get into a trade situation where if someone kicks right here, you should be able to win the trade. The problem is most of the kicks come from this angle, and so they're going to interact with your hurt box before they even get a chance to touch your kickbox. So overall, I'd say Mr. N doesn't really win trades as much, but he can if the kick is somewhere down here. But I would say in general, I do not see N trading too much, just because his belly gets more in the way of his foot than that would basically stop him from making a very good trade interaction. And you'll want to kind of compare this to Dive's kick. So let me get both of them in the air and see if I can get them both kicking. 1 sec. I think that's good enough. All right, so you'll notice that kick is behind his foot. So whenever he's trying to kick someone, it's usually like this is where his hurt box is, this is where his active kick box is. So he's not really leading, and the person that you're aiming at is going to be in front of you. The thing with N's normal kick is that it's kind of behind him because he's actually kicking with his back foot, you see. So his front foot over here does nothing. And he's kicking with his back foot. And his angle is going to be, let's say if Dive's angle is like this, N's angle is a bit like this. And so when you're aiming at another person, you want to basically see if you can sit on them. That's how I try to visualize it. If I can't sit on the other character, then that means I can't kill them. Because there'll be a lot of times where you land and the person is standing right here and you'll land with your kickbox like not even close to where they are. So you want to make sure that the center core of Mr. N is above the other character when you're coming down on them. But other than that, his kick is really fast, and you can catch a lot of things when people try to move out of the way. It's pretty fast that you can actually use it to catch up to them, either kicking back or see, am I gonna be able to erase all this stuff here? One more down here. All right, hopefully I can get that later, but let's see. Let's go back to the regular game. There you go. All right, notice there was a kick-to-kick interaction, and Dive ended up winning it because Mr. N's big belly got in the way. The other thing about his normals is his kickback is pretty bad.
Take that. Yeah.
To the point where when you're concussed, this is even worse. This jump is really good. I would say that when using his kickback, it moves back enough so that you can actually like punish someone who's coming into on you, but I wouldn't say that it's as good as some other kickbacks. Like Kick has a very good kickback, Johnny Gat has a very good kickback. Because of the wideness of N, it doesn't dodge as well as those other characters. Let's see. Mr. N also has a neck pillow, and this is good to note. We will talk about concussions later, but notice that if he gets hit with a headshot, normally you lose all your meter, you start the next round in a dizzy state. Mr. N basically gets one free pass. His neck pillow gets busted, but notice that he still has all his meter, and he's not concussed at all at the beginning of the round. So it's a good thing to know when you're facing or playing as Mr. N that you get one free pass when you get hit in the head. This is all to cover up for how bad Mr. N is, because when he is concussed, it's pretty horrendous. His kickback doesn't do that well, and his jump up doesn't do that well, and the angle of his foot makes it hard for him to catch people approaching. So the pillow is there for a reason, and that's because the reason is Mr. N's horrible when he's concussed, and I think by far the worst character concussed. Let's see. Let's go ahead and move on to his specials. I'm gonna go ahead and build up some meter while the time is running out here. I think we'll talk about the ground special first. Normally when you retreat, you could do a kickback, but you notice that it moves it kind of slow, and you're gonna kick from there. Notice that like your kick isn't really threatening when you do a kickback. So when you do a kickback here, you're brighten that up a little bit. Your kickback only threatens down here. So even though you made a jump like this, you're not really threatening much with your kickback because your foot's so far behind you that they can take a lot of space if they understand that you're not that threatening. Obviously that changes once you have meter for your air special, but let's talk about your ground special first because it's an alternate way to retreat. GTFO is the name, but it's this run back here. It moves back pretty quickly. And if you guys ever played Dan from Street Fighter, he has this dash as well where he runs backwards. I've heard that your first like frames are invincible, but I can't verify that ever. I haven't been able to like make a test to say that's completely true. But there is one thing to note is that during this run back, there's going to be a if you let go of DK, he's going to snap forward to this position here. And you want to be very wary of that because while you're running, you're safe. But if you let go of run and he snaps back to that position, it's going to be, you can get tagged if you get close. So let me unpause the game and then you can kind of see him go back as I let go, as I stop letting go. There you go. So be wary that when you do a run back, there is that snapback of when you let go of the run. You can also do something like
Take that.
this jumping out with a kickback. You don't want to.
Take that.
If you stop, you'll snap back forward and then you'll jump back. But it's faster if you do something like it's called a. I want to say it's the same execution as a goofy jump. So except you do it with kick. So that's you hold D plus K. You can follow my buttons, and then you're basically while you're holding D, you could still run, and you can press K to jump straight out of it. So this will be a faster jump out of the run. You still snap back, but it's a lot more seamless than if you did. And if you actually ran back, stopped, and then did a kickback. I'll try to show you both ways in the next match, just so you can see like how much time you spend hanging out if you try to do it without doing that particular method of execution.
This from above. Round 1. Divekick.
Take that. Take that. Take that.
Okay. So that would be me stopping, lifting up, and then hitting kickback. Notice that you have a split second more that you could possibly get hit.
Take that.
Hurry up.
So you want to when you're trying to use run back to retreat and you're still getting attacked and you want to get out of the way, try to do that that type of execution where you're holding D still and then press K as you're running back. So whenever I do a run back, I always think just hold D only. So just tap it to start it and then hold D only, so you can always have that kickback reaction whenever you're doing your run back.
Round 2. Divekick.
Normally you want to do jump ups, so doing being able to just back up just a little bit and to get next to him. So let's say dive was trying to kick me and I just got out of range. Being able to not have to do it off the kickback means you're on the ground the whole time, which means you can jump at any moment that you want to stop running. And that allows you much more reactive attacks when you're still grounded, because then you can launch your jump whenever you notice that there's an opportunity to do so. If you do a kickback on retreat, you're going to be in the air and you can't jump up until you hit the ground again. So that's what makes this special pretty good. Although if you're approaching correctly enough, then you might not need it because you won't have to retreat. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a great tool in your toolbox when you do have to retreat. All right, I think the next thing to go over is the air special.
Round 3.
And air special is Mr. N's bread and butter. Basically, when you jump up and you press both buttons, your hands will start like doing this fiery thing, and you'll float in the air. Being able to control your landing can be very strong in Divekick because you are no longer predictable when you're in the air. Most characters, when they jump, you know that they will come down at what speed they'll come down. With Mr. N, as long as he has meter, you can't ever say that he's coming down. He can kind of just hang out up there. It is similar to Shoals, where she can pause in the air as well. And whenever you use Marnito, that's the name of the air special, while you're holding down the buttons, it'll drain your meter. And eventually, you'll run out of meter and then you'll just fall. But there's a lot more nuances to actually using it, and I'm going to try to go over most of those. But you can perform this during a kick, during a jump, to cancel a kick. So let's get some here.
Hurry up.
So you can do it with tapping, you can do it with holding. You can also interrupt a kick. Yeah, show you when you interrupt a kick.
Round 4. Divekick.
Take that.
Sorry, that's me tapping it to stop the kick,
Take that. Take that.
and then you can kick out of it again. And every time you you use Magneto, it resets your kick, so you can always kick again. So you can do things like this.
Take that. Take that.
And there is some nuances to floating. You'll float if you do it on Ascent. Notice you'll float up a little bit. Versus if you do it on Descent, you'll float downwards. I'll show that in the next round. So after you've hit your peak and you start your descent, and you start falling already, notice that the float kind of slows you down, but it doesn't pop you up like when you hit it before you hit your peak. And if you kick, you could get a little bit of boost after you kick, so it bumps you up a little bit. So it's something good to know that when you're going to be lower or higher, it all depends on your state at which you were before you started doing your special. If you're doing it from a regular jump, then if I'm falling, this will go down. If I'm going up, then it'll go up. And if you do it from a kick, you'll have a little bit of forward momentum up. You can also do it from kickback, and with the same properties, if you're going up and if you're going down. I think that on kickback, if you're going down, it'll still pop you up a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and test that.
This from above.
So what we're going to test is we're going to do a kickback. We're going to get enough meter for special, and then we're going to do a kickback, and then we're going to try to test it on the set. I think it's going to be upwards, but we'll find out. Nope. So there is some. If you get it like right on the peak, I think you'll be able to go upwards, and if you don't, you'll end up going downwards. That might be when I got the little pop-ups. It might be because I might have pressed kick first. Because if you do kick first, you'll pop up. Yeah, so that might be on the descent. I might have pressed kick like a frame before I did the special, and it popped me up a little bit. And that's kind of the next thing we should talk about, and that's plinks. Some people call it plink, some people call it car cancel, but the mechanics are the same, where you're basically pressing K then D, a frame apart.
No, you cannot.
So notation is K then D. But kind of looks like this. What happens is when you press the K first, it'll give you the quick animation of the kick, which gets you a little bit of meter, and then it'll go straight into the special. So you'll see a little bit of the kick, and then you'll do the special. That's one way to actually gain meter while you're in the air, so you don't use as much. Because if you just do like this, you'll notice you don't gain any meter. It just drains. But if you do it like with the kick first, you'll notice that you'll do a little bit of meter, gain a little meter before it starts to drain. And this can be useful for, meter management while you're in the air. You could do that from a kickback or regular kick. But it may take some time to learn how to plink effectively while you're in the air. I don't like to hold. I like to time taps. So if I'm coming in, I'll say, if I want to do a pause that's a little bit longer, I'll do 2 taps. Or I'll do 3 taps. Or I'll just do 1 tap. I feel like it uses less. I haven't really measured it correctly, but I feel like it uses less for the time. So I feel like I'm being more efficient with my meter if I do taps instead of full-on holds. So that felt like a decent amount of time, but we're going to go ahead and try to do the hold in the same way, with about the same amount of meter. Yeah, that feels like it just uses it faster. But I haven't done the measurement, so you guys can maybe go back and rewatch and tell me if it's faster or not. There's one more trick that I want to go over, and that is double jump. This is actually, it's called the secret double jump. It's actually explained in the how to play. A lot of people think 2-button game, don't need to read the how to play, but there are some good tidbits in there, and one of them is double jump. It's going to be the same mechanics as Goofy Jump for Redacted, and that's you're holding D plus K for your air special, and you release D. So basically, you're still holding K, and then you release, and then press D. All right, let me show you what that looks like, but we'll just have it here notated. Basically up and then down, and you keep holding these with this one.
Take that.
All right, hopefully that was slow enough, and you guys got to see that little hop.
Take that. Take that.
Okay, let's do it again. There's that hop. It uses a significant amount of meter, but it does allow you to get a little bit more height. And that little bit more height can make a difference in hitting or evading in a game. Let's go ahead and kind of show you the distance that this travels without having the double jump. Okay, so if I jump the highest most and I do my kick, I'm gonna land right about at the line. Let's try that again.
Hurry up!
Take that.
All right, right about the line. We'll try that one more time. We'll wait for this round to end. We'll try it one more time, and then we'll see if I can get past that line. Okay, let's run back. Notice that it's pretty much, I can't get the center of my body across there. So let's see, I do the hop. Notice I'm a lot further past the line now. And I can do that hop not at the top, but I can go here, go right there, and get that extra space. And you can do this multiple times in a round. Or sorry, while you're in the air, as long as you have enough meter, and that can get you even further. So let's go and show that here. Make sure I build enough meter though. Okay, so notice I'm a lot further than where I was before, which was like right behind the line. So being able to do these air tricks on call is signature of a great end, because N is really fast and he has all these tools that while he's in the air to change his direction, to get a little bit more height, and if you have good reflexes and fast fingers, then you could probably realize a lot of the potential that N has. And there are some things about air special that you should probably learn when you're playing him, and that's how to reach the corner with double jump.
This from above.
Release this.
Round one. Divekick.
Okay, so as you're approaching someone, you want to know kind of where you're going to be able to actually chase them into the corner. And that's kind of the distance that I feel like is okay, but when you're using a different gem, it'll be a little bit further. But when you get to that point, you know that if you have enough meter, you can chase them all the way back to the corner with your double jumps. That one I still needed another double jump to hit. And if you know this distance well, then you can adjust your attacks coming into the corner. And you'll have a command of when to come in for a big attack, because they can't escape you at all. If you're back and you're already like very close to them, then just hanging out in the middle can be good as well. But if you're gonna learn how to use Mr. N's air special, you should have command of all these little tricks. I go over them one more time. Tapping saves meter. On ascent, you go up. On descent, you go down. You can do plinks to kind of get a little bit of meter back, and so you don't spend that much meter. It also moves you forward a little bit. An attack could look like that. After that, you wanna know how to do double jump on command, so that you can get a little bit extra distance, and also if someone jumps about the same height as you, you can just dodge their attack by doing a little hop a little bit higher. Alright, so I think that's Oh, there is one more thing you should know about the air special, and that it does not auto face. So if you ever cross up an opponent, pressing your air special will not allow you to turn around. So you have to land to actually turn around. So unlike Shoals, who can do turnaround kicks, and you cannot. All right, let's talk about Kickfactor next.
Round 7.
All right, so Kickfactor, when you fill up your meter, you'll get extra speed. This is like the basic Kickfactor that most characters have. You're a lot faster. You jump higher, your kicks go a little bit faster, but your meter does drain, so you can still use your specials, but you'll have you'll eventually run out of meter and you'll slow down and you'll have to gain meter again to be able to do your air special. I think that's pretty straightforward Kickfactor. Might be a good time to go into common offense. So I'm gonna kind of get this set up in a spot, then I'll do a little bit of drawing here. Actually, let's just start from here. So we all know the what I like to talk about is this power position right here. For N, that power position is either closer or higher because his angle needs you to sit on a person. You want to be kind of up there because if you are too far away, this power position normally is like here because the kicks are normally like this. But when you're Mr. N, your power position is going to be a little bit closer and above them. The higher you go, obviously, the better it'll be because your angle will then catch them. Trying to get into that position is going to be key for Mr. N. You'll notice that he does have this large hitbox or heart box. And so you're going to try to get into this zone where you can launch upwards. And then you can get into that position of authority. And I didn't mention it before, but Mr. N has the best minimum kick height, and it allows you to move in really small segments. I think Kick is the only other one who has like the next lowest, but Mr. N is definitely the lowest. So when you're seeing me move in game, I can actually move decently fast because I can kick right as I jump. I don't want to try to plink too fast or else you'll do your special. But you notice that he can kick right away as he jumps, whereas Dive jumps a little bit higher before he actually kicks.
No, you cannot.
Dive has a better angle, so he moves a lot more forward, but as Mr. N, you can stay grounded most of the time to actually get that right distance and then do your jump up. Waste some meter so I can approach again. But you want to kind of get there, get in the position, and be able to threaten with your steep kick. Let's go back to scroll mode so I can kind of explain the approach again.
Round 3. Divekick.
All right, so you want to be able to launch yourself and threaten Dive or threaten the characters. So you want to go high, and once you cross this zone where you can get tapped easily, and you get up into the air, this is where you're going to use your meter to basically force them to move back or try to attack you. And you want them to try to attack you because once you see them try to attack you, you just put on the brakes and then you kick them instead. And once you go up and you have meter, you basically have all the leverage because now you're in the position of are they going to kick? Are they going to kick but then stop and wait? The other player has to think about, okay, what do I do in this scenario where Mr. N is so high above me and pushing me backwards? And usually what happens is they should be moving backwards, and then you rinse and repeat and you push them to the corner, and then if you have your corner distances correct, you corner them. And all of that starts with building meter. If you have no meter, you are less of a threat. And so one of the key things as Mr. N is build meter at the beginning, and then you want to try to keep that threshold where you always have enough meter for your special. Because once you don't have meter for your special, that's when your options are very limited because you don't have the air tricks that you can do, and you can't retreat as fast. So players can take advantage of that. But once you do have meter, you try not to let it go. You try to manage your resources while you're in the air. But normally, once you have meter, you can make this approach a lot better because at any point in your small jumps, if they try to come and attack you, since you're only moving like inches by inches, at this point, if you see them jump, you can kind of just jump up. And so having staying close to the ground allows you to be more reactive. And since Mr. N can kick right as he jumps off and he lands right away, you can then decide when you want to jump up within your pattern of approach. And it's similar to when you're using the run to run back. Since you're grounded the whole time, you're basically on the ground when you're using your dash. You have to have meter for it. You can jump at any time. And so understanding the concept of you're a little bit more mobile and you can stay grounded and you can react to the other player it's what gives you the ability to respond to situations. All right. Kickfactor is something that can be very good because Mr. N getting extra speed is pretty awesome, but it comes with the drawback of losing all your meter at some point. And then you get back to the state where you have no meter and you have to build it up again. So while you can be extremely fast and you can chase down really quickly and get into the opponent's face, just remember that it does come with a side note that you will run out of meter at some point, and plan for that when you're doing your offense. I guess I can show a little bit. It's a little bit hard to kind of show what it looks like with no other person on the other side because trying to fake out a person who's not playing is not a real thing. But I'll go ahead and kind of show the, as you get into a position and you jump and you can use your special to kind of react to the situation. So here I have a little bit of meter. Let's say that I can get in on dive, or I notice that he jumps and I'm scared to jump. I can always just run back. But I can come up here, and while he's thinking about what to do, I can kind of pause in the air, figure out what to do, kick, and then move forward. And a lot of times, kick or the dive or your opponent will try to kick you as you're kicking, and all you gotta do is put on those brakes. And if you need a little bit more height, do your double jump.
Positive directional derivative for line search.
I think that's about it. Obviously, when you are able to back them up and you know that distance to the corner, you can then use your double jumps to kind of just traverse across and try to chase them down. You could also not jump and wait for them to make mistakes at this point. Because as Mr. N, you're pretty fast. The only problem is your hurt box is very large. But as long as you know the distances and where you can react, then you could just play a reactive style where you just wait for them to do something and you can come in on them, or you can just kick them to punish them. I think that covers most of the common offense I know. But I want to pull in one of the players that I know that plays N very well. His name is Fuzzmosis, and I have him on the call. Fuzzmosis, are you there?
Yes, I am. I've been just listening and watching.
All right. So Fuzzmosis, can you give just a quick introduction to yourself, as if no one knows who you are? And
several people listening will know who I am, but several people won't. I played Divekick since the beginning of the release. Don't know why. Chose Mr. N. Also don't know why I did that. And then I just practiced and got surprisingly good at him. I actually disagree with some of your points earlier, though. So that is something to bring up during the offensive state.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. So I think the main things I was talking about is actually, let me go to the drawing board so we can kind of get the two characters on screen here.
Round 1, Divekick.
All right, so brighten this a little bit 'cause it's a little dark. So my previous one is, or my main offense that I was talking about is crossing kind of this area.
Yeah.
This-
You were talking about using the air and controlling the air, which Mr. N is good at, but that's also partially gem selection. But there's something that you missed, although you did touch on the 2 points of it: his back kick and his very fast kick speed.
Yes.
If you combine both of those, that also gives Mr. N enormous strength in close positions. So what can happen is if you're on top of your opponent, you will almost always react faster, assuming you have the same reaction time, and you will kick first, and you will always win that trade. So there's another offensive point for Mr. N that not many people take advantage of, is really close range.
So that means like standing, like say here.
Or literally on top of each other. Basically, someone missed, and by using Mr. N's mobility tools, you can
Oh.
force someone to miss really easily. And hey, suddenly you have the inside speed, you have the inside track, and you have the faster kick.
Okay. So I think I know what you're referring to here, and that's
Yep.
Let me set up the situation. Oh, that's a little too close.
Yeah, that's the other problem with Mr. N, is if you don't position right, that happens.
Yeah. But if you ever get into like an overlapping position, like
There you go.
this.
Mr. N wins these 100% of the time.
Yes, I totally agree. It's good you pointed out. See, I'm gonna miss something, and it's good that you're here to point that out.
So
go ahead.
So that is one of the key offensive positions. Is he's really, really good there. Do I have to cover kickbacks and standard, like basically standard dive kick play, or do you want Mr. N focused only?
Mr. N focused only in a general sense. We can get into like matchup specific things later, but
Okay.
I mean, obviously, when someone kicks into Mr. N and you have the ability to do a kickback,
Yeah,
kick, I mean,
that's-
yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Or just a dive kick. Like a blind kick is almost never going to get rewarded in this game.
yeah.
So Mr. N's offensive tools, you covered it fairly well in that you use the air tools to make your opponent guess, but you can also use, I find historically you want to either overuse the GTFO or you want to use it very sparingly. You want them to think you forgot that that's a tool you have, and then suddenly you're just no longer where they're expecting you to be. You raise the tension of the situation as fast and as much as possible, and then suddenly you take 2 steps back. Like they forget about it, because Mr. N is very fast if you want him to be, or very slow if you want him to be. He actually has 2 different distinct playstyles. And I'm focusing on the one I used, to be fair.
Yes, and I think I did kind of mention that in that
Yeah.
when I was talking about he has very good movement forward and backward once he has GTFO.
Yes.
Because he stays grounded the whole time, so that means he can make a jump at any point. And being able to move back and forth and being able to adjust your position is great. And
It's very powerful in this game.
yeah,
Yes.
you were saying, because most of the time when you're moving, you have to move like in chunks, right? So you have to move like this, where you from here you're now here, and before you can jump again. Whereas Mr. N moves like this, and he can jump from here if he wants to.
Yeah. So that's just a general tip and trick, is either use it constantly so they're always having to say, okay, this game isn't going to be the position I want, or only use it when you can kill. Like those are the that's more tactical. But basically spamming GTFO makes your opponent frustrated because they know you're never going to be where they're expecting you to be. And only using it once, making them forget that Mr. N can actually position, not immediately. He's also not invincible. He can definitely be tagged in the ankle on the first frame. It's happened to me many times.
I guess
So
it might be the snapback that people are referring to because his head like literally pops backwards when he starts running. Maybe that's what they're referring to when they talk about invincibility frames, but they might just be referring to it directly.
I don't actually know where that came from, but I'm just like, no, I've definitely been clipped in the ankle so many times while running away, or in the back.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I just know that I have no way to prove it. I just know that in the beginning he snaps back when he starts running, and then when you let go, it snaps him back forward. So it's something if you're using GTF a lot, you want to be very wary of that.
Yep. But
because it looks like you're safe, and then you want to do a reaction, but you're not fully safe yet.
And should I try to cover, like, ultimately the offense that I was talking about with the being close is very risky. It takes an ungodly amount of practice to get comfortable with the positions because, as you know, a bad kick or a bad position is often punished in this game. So it takes a lot of practice. But the other method that you were describing is the air control, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
So that one is a much more patient. You don't actually have to go fast. Once you have the meter, you can just wait for your opponent to get bored and frustrated, or you can just very slowly push forward, remain at the outside of their instant kick range, and just make them go into the corner and kick them and repeat. It's a very simple game plan, but it's really, really hard to deal with.
So just to parrot what you're saying, so I can basically visualize my understanding, and that's being patient, staying out of like the unreactable range. And
so
then,
that's the kickback kick or dive kick, immediate dive kick presses for characters, and it varies on everyone. But
so we'll say that's this is about how far maybe you could stand to dive and react to his kick, and basically just staying in that range and forcing them to do something, and being very patient with it. You don't necessarily have to jump.
No.
Yeah, and you can kind of stay in that range and force them to do something because
some characters are not used to having to be offensive, and Mr. N is not normally known as a defensive character, but I find playing with him, you want to just mess with the opponent's head a lot. Is he going to run? Is he going to float in the air this time? Is he going to do a free kick, and I'm just going to expect him to kick out of it and miss my opportunity? Yeah. Those are all things that I have experimented with to varying degrees of success. Most of the time, don't give a free kick, by the way. That does not get you successful outcomes, unfortunately. But
all right.
So yeah, does that make sense? As a weird offensive tip with Mr. N is actually patience is surprisingly rewarding with him. Even though he can push you into the back, even though he can be a hyperspeed menace, just wait a couple seconds and make your opponent say, "Oh crud, what's he going to do next?" Make them say, "Okay, well, if he's just going to build meter, I'm going to do something," and then they do something, but you're A, on the ground faster than they expect, and B, have the tools to adjust on the ground and in the air exactly as needed to punish them for it. Mr. N can come out of nowhere. It's great, in all honesty. It takes practice, but it's great once you get used to it.
No, I agree. A lot of characters have that. They always have that option of once they get within a close range, they could just wait. And when you're waiting, like, how does the other player react? And like with dive, you can kind of do that similar, where if you get into a certain position and you've taken enough space, you can just wait and see what they do. But I guess I was trying to cover like not doing that defensive play, because that is kind of common across all the characters, but specifically what can N do to push the opponent into a bad spot besides waiting?
Besides waiting, you basically get meter, and then you either do that slow approach that is not my favorite thing in the world, but it works very well, or like you take the dive jam and you just slowly inch them back into the corner. If they escape, it doesn't matter. Because then you're just closer to the line every single time, and then get above their head and kick them. The other option is a bit more chaotic, where you make it look like you're making a mistake. You do strange things. You quick dive approach them, and then the second you're within kill range, you do the GTFO to get back into safety. That creates a different game state than most people are expecting of why is Mr. N being aggressive? Because most of the time, if you're aggressive Mr. N with his very weak forward kick, it's just a simple matter of kicking him. But with good spacing, like two quick kicks forward and the GTFO, and suddenly you're in a different position than the enemy's expecting. And if they say, for instance, just went for a quick dive kick, your jump speed immediately means you're above them, and you just win that trade.
Okay, so it's like you're trying to play in a position where you can try to bait them into attacking you.
Basically, you make them think you made a mistake. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I would say that sums up Mr. N. You're basically trying to get them to say, "Hey, I'm right here. Come get me." And no, I'm not right here. I'm right here.
He has tools in the air. He has tools on the ground, and his meter builds up really, really fast. If you have the kick gem or the dive gem, it turns out. So not. He's never really short on meter. He just does his thing and hopefully wins. It's kind of the short way of putting that.
All right. let me see. I think we're
And of
gonna
course-
move into counterplay. Is there any like last comments you want to make for like offense?
No, he can be an offensive character, but the offense isn't. He has the trap offense of both types. He traps you in the corner by just slowly hovering in the air and making you say, I don't have any options, but going into the corner until you don't have any options. That's what Mushroom Gas played as, if anyone remembers that name.
Yep.
And then there was my style, which was more of a, I'm going to kick into a chaotic fashion. You're going to make a mistake before I do, is my gamble, and I'm going to kick you for it.
Yeah, so Mushroom Gas that was referenced, he played Dive Gem and primarily, and he has like that high offense where he gets up, he uses his meter to put you in a bad position, and he comes in. Fuzzmosis, on the other hand, plays primarily Kick Gem based N, where he does a lot more ground manipulation and controls the spacing between his opponent. And playing Mr. N, I want to emphasize this, is he's a lot wider than most characters, and it's going to take a little while for anybody to pick up how wide he is and how close he can be.
I'll say, when the game released and I decided to pick Mr. N, I said, I'm going to play this guy the way I want to play him, which resulted in like a 120 game losing streak as I realized how easy I was to kick.
Yes.
It was like, it's not like you pick him up and it's like, oh, this is easy. No, he is going to get kicked a lot. It is going to feel bad. But once you get used to the spacing, most people aren't used to an N who knows the spacing. You have an advantage in an unpopular character. It actually was an advantage for me in Mushroom Gas as well because we played two distinct styles. Preparing for one, Mr. N, did not prepare you for the other Mr. N.
Correct. And just to like reiterate, let me trade that a little lower. The hitbox is a lot wider, and the kickbox is underneath and behind.
Yeah,
so that's like very different than a lot of the other characters. And
you have the advantage when you're on top of people, like I said, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, and above people, but that's the true for everyone.
So. And so like managing this front belly is key to be playing a very good Mr. N. You want to understand how close you can get to characters, because once you have that understanding, you can get them to try to hit you, but you know the distances, so you know that they won't, and that'll take some time.
Well, mastery of any fighting game will take time. Just some characters are surprisingly weak until you learn to cover for their weaknesses.
Yep.
And in a game where if you get hit, you lose, that's a pretty big weakness to be easy to get hit. So.
Yes, and with Dive, because players have played Dive and the other characters, they're used to a forward kickbox. So as long as their feet are in front, they feel a little bit safer. But with Mr. N, you don't get any of that safety. You have to position yourself correctly.
Playing footsies with Mr. N is terrible because you actually lose foot-on-foot contact. You have to hit above their foot to win the footsie contest.
Yeah. I was covering like your belly gets hit more than your feet if it's a footsies contest.
Even if your feet get hit, like their hitbox extends just enough that you will lose foot-on-foot contact most of the time. It's like game dependent. Sometimes it will tie you, but most of the time you want to, in a game of footsies, get enough forward that you're kicking their leg, not their foot. Otherwise, you're risking a draw or even worse, losing when you feel like you should be kicking them.
Yeah, Mr. N is on like the lower tier of my ranking of effective kickboxes. Red being at the top, with N and Fencer being at the bottom, and then maybe next to N is Kung Pao, just because it's so small. But N and Fencer are definitely at the bottom of. Will you win trades? Probably not.
Only once you're very practiced with them, and even then, sometimes they're playing good opponents. They know what you're trying to do and just wait a couple seconds themselves. So.
Yep. All right, I think we can move into defense, or not defense, but counterplay now. Let's go ahead and bring the screen back to neutral.
Too much randomness. Round 4, Divekick.
All right. So one of the main things when you're facing Mr. N is meter. You want to know when he has meter. So if he does not have enough meter for his jump, then you can consider yourself at a decent advantage, and you want to make sure that he's not building fast enough. So you don't want to leave him alone, because if you give him that meter, then he has all his tools.
I would argue. So I got to point this out. I don't think it's possible to stop him from getting meter if he wants to.
I'm not saying stop him. I'm saying make it make it tough. Like, don't
Yeah,
just
well,
give
'cause,
him meter.
again, with his speed at kicking,
Mhm.
like I prefer the kick gem because it gave me meter slightly faster. But his speed of kicking is good enough that he can get 2 kicks in while you're still trying to punish the first kick, which can of course lead to him overextending, but it can also lead to you overextending, and it's very hard to punish Mr. N getting meter unless he's being greedy, basically.
I guess
Like,
what I'm trying to say is that you don't want to hang back and build your own meter because normally his meter is better than your meter, and so I think that good counterplay is making sure Mr. N has to work for his meter. Not necessarily that you can stop him, but he has to work for it.
And I remembered I was supposed to talk about Kickfactor as well.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not normally part of any, at least the floaty technique, Mr. N. Don't use Kickfactor. But for Mycotic style, if nothing else is working, get the Kickfactor, double your speed, see if they can handle it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you use if nothing else is working with Mr. N, because he's already fast, and being faster is actually really hard to deal with. So your partner can be used to it, your opponent's not going to be used to it, but if you're losing, Kickfactor is not hard to achieve safely, go for it.
Would you ever like back off and just build it? Because I know that
Again, if you're in a matchup where you don't know how whatever is happening, your opponent's reading you too well. Absolutely.
okay. So
Like if your opponent's reading you, you have nothing to lose at that point. Being faster, jumping higher at the same speed. In fact, is kind of the other important thing, because that's one of the few weaknesses Mr. N has, is someone who can get higher than him.
Mhm.
Well, he's not one of the few weaknesses. He has the giant belly too. But if you can, because Uncle Sensei is actually surprisingly tricky for Mr. N, because he can get this higher at the same jump speed, but that's not true in Kickfactor.
no, it's not.
So a good Uncle Sensei can make Mr. N really suffer. So Mr. N with Kickfactor is how you counter that.
Yep.
You get 1 to 2 kicks in, you slow them down, then you get Kickfactor again, and suddenly the game is much more even for you.
So when you're if you're ever in a matchup and you can't crack the shell, Kickfactor is your tool to break that because it gives you so much speed.
Yeah, Kickfactor gives you a higher jump, gives you a faster kick, gives you more forward momentum. It feels like it just makes everything about N's strengths better, and your opponent probably isn't expecting that.
Yeah, and but I'd say that trying to get Kickfactor as Mr. N is a little bit harder than say Dive, because when Dive backs up, they back up with a decent amount of basically they can create space to kind of grind in the back.
Yep.
Whereas Mr. N doesn't back up as much as quickly, so it's hard to grind it.
Dive's kickback kick is better than Mr. N's kickback kick,
Yeah.
but Mr. N's dive kick is really good for getting meter too. So if your opponent's backing up, you are free to go forward.
Yeah.
Turns out. So.
And
Even then, so.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, as far as the counterplay is concerned, you don't want to give N space to build that meter. So you want to at least be in a threatening position where Mr. N should be working for meter, because meter unlocks his potential, and the more meter he has, the more tricks he can pull on you.
Yep. Like, I can make it look like I'm about to kick early, and I kick back kick, and then I just float and kick you instead. That is what you want to do as Mr. N. It's not clean. You're not playing fair, but that's not what Mr. N does. Mr. N runs around. Mr. N floats in the air. He makes it look like, oh, I make a mistake. It's just no, I'm
Nope.
cheating. I can float.
Okay, so the other thing I want to mention for counterplay for Mr. N, or against Mr. N, is the space in front of him.
Mm.
So this is the pace you want to attack. You do not want to attack Mr. N himself. And the reason for this is when you attack Mr. N and he jumps up, you are now right underneath him and he can kick you. If you attack the space that he has to move into, if he's just moving into it, you can tap his belly. But if he ends up jumping up, you now have a little bit more time to get away.
Like, show the kickback kick on Mr. N.
Oh yeah.
Like, you just double tap kick right now and their game, and with the markers on, and he barely goes forward. I don't think he goes forward at all, in fact.
Yeah. Well, let me.
So if you land in front of him, he has to dive kick to hit you. Like, kick back kick quickly. Look at that.
Yeah.
He barely goes
He
forward.
barely goes forward. So he has to basically go like this, and even when he does that,
Take that. Yeah.
let me
It's-
see if I can pause it in the right spot. Give me a
Take
sec.
that. Take that.
There we go. Even when he does it, notice that he left from here. His attack is right here. So if you're attacking in front of him, his attack he has to jump higher in order to get his attack to actually come towards you, and that gives you time to get out of the way if he ends up jumping up.
Yes,
And
if he jumps at the same time you have landed, you are probably dead. But if he jumps after you've landed, you have time. Like it creates a very short unreactable timing if you do that. Is my, I guess, counter comment. Is he is very strong close, but only at a certain very closeness. Like you're hugging Mr. N close.
yeah, but what I'm saying is he's so good when you're close that you want to aim your attacks to the image of N over here.
Yep.
Because he has to move if he's if he's moving towards you, then he has to take, this kind of bouncy step. And so if you actually I should brighten this up. If you're covering the zone in front of him, you can hit his belly and stay away from his foot. So if you're attacking the area in front of him, you can hit this area and stay away from this area. Oh my god, that's messy. But
It's
basically, what I'm
sometimes.
trying to say is, don't get under Mr. N because that's exactly what he wants. If he
Get
can
over
stay
Mr. N.
yeah, if he's over you, then you've made a mistake. And so you want to be in front and threatening his belly, and not threatening like where he would be, because he's never going to be where you think he's going to be.
And I suppose, to be fair, I haven't thought about how other people play against me. I just think about how I play against them.
No worries.
But I will point out, what I do find the most frustrating is someone who can consistently get above me faster, because that takes away the big advantage of his fast jump. Like again, Uncle Sensei and an expertly played Shoals can, but that is very positionally based.
When you do get close, or I want to say that there's this like mid-height area that Mr. N can be susceptible to. And let me kind of get in position of that. Oop.
Hi.
Okay, it's kind of about like this, but don't quote me on it. This can come up when, let's say, you moved like really close, and N will tend to jump up and try to punish you, or just jump up for safety. This area up here is kind of like, when you're close, you don't want to aim to like hit him right here. You want to aim past him to right here. So when you're in a close position, normally with other characters you want to just tap them. You don't want to tap Mr. N at all. He'll beat you when you try to do the tap, because he can pause, or he can go out. So you want to jump up, and you want to kick across to behind him. Sometimes, let's just say that he's on the ground, and this all matters if you have the speed to jump, because obviously if you don't jump as fast, that's not gonna be a problem. But
Hurry up!
let's say that you are actually in this position here, and at this point, sometimes you might want to think, oh, I should just do a quick dive and kick. Yeah, you do that, and if N thinks the same thing, he's going to be higher than you quickly. So I would say that you want to jump up a little bit more and get that attack a little bit higher. Obviously, if he jumps up safely, you're going to be under him anyway, and that's probably going to be bad no matter what. But you want to
in that case, you go under him.
Yeah,
you do quick dive kicks.
Yeah,
because he can't turn around. You pointed that out.
You'll get a shot of getting underneath him. The problem is, you never want to end up under him, and so aiming at his feet is never what you want to do. You want to aim past him. So in the event that you actually survive, he can't turn around and kick you.
That was only an emergency measure, because if you mess it up, suddenly he's lined up perfectly to kick you in the head.
Exactly.
So there's the Mr. Enemy talking. Yeah, do this. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
I mean, I'd rather not be close. I'm just saying, if you do get close, look to do an attack that goes past Mr. N rather than at Mr. N.
Yep. His chase down is it's fun because he's very quick, but because he doesn't win the trades, it's very dangerous for him to try to chase you down. Some characters can chase down really well. Mr. N is very, very susceptible to, oh wait, I have a huge hitbox. Oh shoot, he did kick this time.
Yep.
So.
There are instances where Mr. N will try to bait you, and
Every turn. Sorry.
if you can wait him out and be patient, that's probably one of the best things you can do in the game is be patient.
Yes.
That's very good counterplay against Mr. N.
And I'll throw this out there. That's why I retired. Was the meta when I stopped was very patient Kung Pao versus very patient Mr. N. And my playstyle is not patient, but Kung Pao has a giant unreactable box that Mr. N can't get around unless she attacks first, which led to a lot of like 17, 18-second matches of no one getting anywhere, and then a frantic scramble for a line, which sometimes left a kick. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. But Kung Pao was actually very weak to the floaty style, which I just didn't play. So that was also my bad.
Let me erase some of the stuff here. I probably have a little bit more marks there. But yeah.
Are we doing a character by character commentary, or?
We'll see if there's anybody in chat who wants to pick out certain characters. Otherwise, we'll start with Dive, and then we'll see what Lai and Axem might want to play. We'll have Lai and Axem kind of join in with to help us out with the matchup stuff. All right, so before we go on to that, though, let's talk about Concussion and line play. Concussion is just bad. Let me kind of show you what he looks like when he's concussed. Oh, that's not low enough. All right, that's not high enough. One sec. So he does have the neck pillow for a reason, and that's because he's horrible, the worst character when he's concussed, because he has a large hitbox. His foot isn't as good when he's solo. All right, let's look at his range. Okay. So that's his jump. Still decently high, but remember your kick is very low. This is his kickback. Oh. Crap. Gonna have to wait till next round. You have the pillow because of the sorry state that he's in when he is concussed. And my advice or my goal whenever I'm concussed as Mr. N, usually it's a bad spot when you are, but you are never looking to punish the approach. I do talk about punishing the approach as other characters. And I'll kind of, Fuzz, you might be new to this, so I'm going to kind of explain what that is.
Well, no, I would just say as Mr. N, if you headshot, your goal isn't to punish them, your goal is to make them kick you in the stomach.
Correct.
That's the strategy from high level is if they manage to headshot you twice, you go, if they headshot me, they can easily headshot me a third time. My goal is not to punish them or wait it out. My goal is to jump my stomach into their foot.
Correct. And
it's a strange thing to do, but that's how bad his offense is and defense is in that situation. Is your best option is to take another round loss. Yeah,
and 100% agree with that. As Mr. N, you don't have the ability to punish approaches. So when I'm talking about approach is Dive wants to get into this position over here and then jump up and be in that power position where he's above, where he can cover the kickback. And with some other characters, you can kind of like read the movement here and you can try to kick them. Mr. N cannot reach that far with his jump and his kick. So,
he loses like 70% of his power in his speed and his jump. And then it's just like, well, now he's just a fat blob, which is unfortunate.
So in order for him to punish this approach, he has to jump this high to get the kick down to hit. So you're not punishing this approach ever. And so you're trying to figure out, how do I get my belly here? Or how do I get back so he kicks me in my belly only? And
remember, you don't have his meter, which, while normally simple to get, is a huge part of his power budget as well.
Yep.
And so you lose almost all of his power when he's dizzied. No meter, you're much slower, your jump is lower, and your bad kick is just bad instead of situational.
Yeah. So if you're N and you're concussed, look to die with a belly hit. Try not to don't think about trying to punish anything. Just think about, I need to give up this round so I can be okay next round.
Fun fact with the Mr. N mirror, it's not actually that big of a deal because his approach is that slow that you'll get out of it by the time he gets there.
Oh, really? I feel like
Yes.
he can. Oh, we'll see. We'll have to look into that. I haven't played many Mr. N mirrors.
That was when me and Mushroom Gas were training against each other. The headshots began to mean nothing because neither of us could really punish them.
Okay. All right.
It's still meant to belly kick, but there's this like no reasonable way to expect a consistent Mr. N headshotting chain on each other.
All right. Let me see if I can just erase some of these stuff here. All right. Line play. Okay. Oops.
Hi.
Let me get Mr. N out of concuss here.
Hi.
So I want to say line play is pretty good for Mr. N because he can kind of hang out. And because if he has enough meter to just hang out above line, it's really hard to unless you can get above him, it's going to be really hard to approach line. And let's say you get right underneath him, that's exactly where he wants you, and you don't want to wait there and to get line. So overall, I say Mr. N has got a really good line game because he can attack right underneath him if you end up overlapping. There is no overlapping with Mr. N. He can kick you still.
Yep. Also, GTFO runs you towards the line not always, but anytime you have taken the line, it will keep you closer to the line than your opponent. And I just never really tried to play for the line, is the other kind of comment there. I always wanted to win by kicking you. So if lines happen, they happen. And it's Mr. N normally, if he's in an aggressive position, already has the line because he has you cornered from air control or has you questioning why he's being so aggressive and backing off. And you have the line there. So it forces your opponent to make a hard choice of go in now and see if you can slip under or take the kick.
Yep.
Or take the line loss. If Mr. N has line control, he has no reason to lose it aside from a brilliant play from your opponent.
Yeah. There are some exceptions to that, and that's usually with certain characters, but for the most part, totally agree with everything you just said. All right. Gem selection. Okay, let's jump over to the gem selection menu.
Okay, so slight correction, I was always kick gem because I found I wanted to kick you. That made you go faster, made you kick faster. But dive gem was again what Mushroom Gas preferred because it made air control just a tiny bit easier, and it isn't like getting meter is hard. And if you're only trying to kick them in the head or in the corner, you don't need to kick that fast. You just need to kick accurate.
Yeah, so I would say that depending on the style you want to play, if you want a more ground-based one, go with kick gem. If you want a more air-based one, go with dive gem. If you can still do an air-based one with kick gem, you just have to be more selective of when you jump because you just don't get as much height as you can with dive gem. And you could play a ground-based game with dive gem. It's just your movement is chunky. Yeah, your movement is chunky, and the kick gem is just much better at it. So what I'm saying is that with either gem, you can move in and out of both modes. It's just you have the trade-offs. That's all.
And YOLO gem you do if you want to play constantly in if you want to practice Kickfactor. That's the only other reason to take it because Mr. N is too easy to kick too reliably YOLO in a competitive environment. I don't think anyone has ever suggested a YOLO gem, but in case they have, I'm saying don't do it on Mr. N. You're too easy to kick, but it is good for training purposes if you want to actually get practice with Kickfactor activated.
Okay, that's definitely a good call out. I usually tell people YOLO gem, if you're thinking about winning a set, you got to win 3-5 in a rows before the other character wins 3 at any time. And when you think about it like that, even with the bonuses that you get, it's not a good. If you're playing perfect enough not to lose 3 rounds, you'll be fine with any gem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a great point. If you want to practice Mr. N as if he had Kickfactor, doing it with YOLO gem is a good way. I never thought about that, so that's a very good call out.
That's more for your mobility than your opponent, but you see how fast you go, how far you kick, and it gives you some comfort on an already fast character suddenly moving a little bit faster.
Okay, so specifically about meter gem is usually, whenever I think of meter gem, I think of, do you have enough space to kick And if that's not a lot and meter gem matters so much, then that's the only time I would pick meter gem, where meter is very important and there's not enough space in the matchup to kick. I don't think I can think of any situation where Mr. N has that problem.
Which is weird because he's a very meter dependent character, but no, there's zero reason to ever take the meter gem. You kick faster and you jump safer with the other two options. So if you kick faster, you're going to get the meter at the exact same rate as the meter gem anyway, with the bonus of kicking faster in the situations that's relevant. And with the dive gem, you're still kicking pretty fast. You're getting meter a tiny bit slower, but you now control the air much easier. So and the other risk is if you're playing with a high level of meter and the meter gem will get you that meter faster, you get into Kickfactor, which it's nice, but it's not an integral part of the strategy. It's the I need to change things up. Let's change the pace of my opponent here suddenly.
Yep.
Option. So yeah, no style gem. You should YOLO before you style at this point.
Okay, cool. We can probably move into matchups from here on out. Let me see if Lai and Axem are available.
I haven't re-downloaded the game either, so sorry.
No worries. Let me open up the room a little bit so they can join if they want to. And hello, True Afro. Quotes by Kick sometimes, yeah, it's borderline. Might not be safe, but you're quoting the character, so I guess that works. Yes. Yeah, it looks like both of them are available. Let's go with Laitome first. Do you remember Laitome at all?
Yeah, it's a name I remember. I'm familiar with. So someone who's been playing the game for, I would say, far too long. But I'm here. I have fond memories of the game. I just don't play it anymore. So
yeah, I'm gonna open up the tourney cast up to 4 in case Lai and Axem want to jump into the cast. But I'm gonna go ahead and go into searching for lobbies. After I exit this.
Lai has just joined the chat.
Hi, Lai. Let's go into online. I'm hoping to face a dive. True Afro, if you do want to play, just let me know and I can look for your lobby later. But right now we're gonna try out Lai and Axem first, and then if you do have a character you do want to see, go ahead and as far as a matchup against Mr. N, go ahead and shout that out.
How much ego am I going to have and say that Mr. N is favored in each matchup? Is a good question here.
You can say whatever you want if you feel like it is. I can disagree with you, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. I like, for instance, if with dive and kick, I've never found anything aside from footsies challenging about them. Kick in particular has better footsies than N by a large amount, but Mr. N should be able to control both of those matchups reasonably well, to the point where he should be favored. I'm not talking 9-1 favored or anything like that, but I'm talking like easy 6.5 for both of them.
Cool. In this particular matchup, I think I have it fairly even. I forgot what I have it at.
Select your gem.
Let me see. Yeah, I think I have it even for because Dive's kick factor is pretty good, and he has a kickback that Mr. N has a hard time. Like
Mr. N doesn't want to deal with his kickback,
yeah.
But Mr. N can force a couple bad kicks.
Yeah. And so I guess I'll start with kick gem here, and then I'll move into dive gem. Maybe
Pink
we'll
pajamas.
run this set again.
Pink pajamas.
I like
another reason I picked him.
I like Superman pajamas. That's what I call them.
Superman, okay. Superman's an okay look.
Yes,
but it was always about being the flying pink fat man for me.
The pink jammas, I think. Okay, I shouldn't be doing kick right there. So I have.
So right there, if you had done a mid-air double jump, you just win that trade.
Oop.
No, that's broken.
I'm not committing. I should be committing to a kick there, I think. There you go. See, commit to a kick. I got something.
You had in the first two kicks, you had them both won if you had played it slightly better.
Yeah, if I had actually committed to a kick. Oh.
And there you go. You overcommitted there. Should have cancelled out. Or the other option is you can try to land with GTFO. It won't always save you. Sometimes it will. Okay, so you empty jump there and gave him freedom to do whatever you wanted with that.
Round 6.
I call an empty jump where whatever you do, you're not going to be beneficial to yourself.
Dive wins.
Yeah, I don't know the
Yeah, everyone
spacing
probably has their own terms. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
as
that's
well.
fair.
No. Yeah, empty jump is fine. That's a term that's fine. I was just saying I don't know the spacing as well, so my my close game will be very suspect.
Round
Yes, I'll agree with that assessment. So you're also doing something that I would disagree with, is always going forward. Throw in a couple kickback kicks, because now Laitome knows when you're coming in. He knows you have one move. Go forward, backwards, reset it. Try and see if that mixes him up a little. There you go. Look at that. A little bit of mix-up makes all the difference in the world.
Round
Because if you're always going forward, well, it's trivial, even if you're not always making it easy on him. But it's trivial for him to get into a good position and then just punish you.
4.
You also have too high meter, so now you just Kickfactor and go for it. Now all in. Hard. See, he has to pay back. You got him nervous, just didn't space it well.
Round 5.
I'll add a score to Laitome after. Oh, I don't have meter. I was trying to
Nope.
to pause there.
Round
No, there's no pausing. This is live now. This is no longer an AI. So remember, kickback. Kickback is fine. It's totally fine to reposition using a kickback kick as well.
Oh,
And then
that should
was
have
another
been mine.
situation
Yeah,
Yep.
just
Another
floating
float.
a little bit. Yeah. All right, let me give Laitome 2. All right.
You're giving him points?
Yeah, we'll play a set and then we'll like swap.
From above.
Oh,
That way we
okay.
can kind of like go through different characters.
Round
Okay.
1.
I feel like I'm just criticizing you pointlessly, by the way. But there you go. Look at that. Close play. Suddenly you have the jump advantage. It's not always a boot to the head, but it is a really, really fast kick. And again, I'm going to be coaching you like I would play, which
Yeah.
is going to be less floaty. I don't know how Mushroom Gas would handle these situations. I'm sorry. That's just a weakness. I just wanted to kick people. See, there's the footsies with dive and kick. They just hit you. I mean, it looks like it doesn't even hit you, but
Yep, there it is.
that is
again.
that is the strongest. That is the most challenging part of facing them, in my opinion.
Oh, I
There
had
you
it.
go. That's the play. Just kick back. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
You do have to kick back a bit more in your current.
Round
Change the pace up. There you go. Oh, empty jump's fine. Oh, you're good now.
oh.
Oh,
He got me with his
went
fake.
early. You had him in the corner. You had him nice. You had the air. Just went too early.
Oh.
You have so many missed. And you just win there. Good job. You just get a bit too eager, a bit too nervous.
Round 7.
And there you go. Free round. Not a headshot, but that's
8.
cornering when they're dizzy is the best you can do most of the time. Oh, too much meter waste.
By 0.
I guess you got him baited though. So
9.
and there you go. Bait and kick.
Able to take one. Yeah, I think maybe I just tend to do the higher style because I don't have the command of the spacing and the reactions. Like my speed is very slow compared to a lot of other players, just physically. And so I
Okay.
tend to I'm tending to jump because it feels safer. But I'm gonna try to.
If
be
you're
a little
gonna
bit
try
closer.
jump, I suggest trying with the dive. Then play with the dive gem, see how that feels. Like show. I guess we're not necessarily telling you to feel it, but show anyone watching this how
Yeah.
dive changes the speed up, because that is a quick game when you're playing with the kick gem. No matter what, dive gem you actually can slow it down a bit.
Direct to your duds.
But again, this is the area outside my expertise. This is the I just wanted to kick. I didn't want to float. Even
mean,
if it was a valid rule.
I do like that you can catch things a little bit better with the kick gem as well. So I could like play air, but with the kick gem.
He's
Ooh, he went for it.
Yep.
I could have ran back there to get out of the way safely.
And another empty jump, but not punished this time. Oh, there you go. See,
You kind of want them to punish, right? that's the point.
you want them to punish when it's a deliberate empty jump. Like some empty, that's a spacing and experience thing though. Some empty jumps are just, oh no, I've screwed up. They're just going to kick me, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you get a little bit more height, so your approach would be a little bit worse now. And oh, good job. Still have the speed advantage there, and the close range fight. As I said, I'm not sure how much I'm adding to this because it's been years since I played, but I'm trying. Good job.
No, that's fine. You don't have to be like, fire off comments. It's just more
I'm
like...
not going to be a Capcom hired commentator anytime soon. Let's just put it that way. And see, you lost the footsies to a concussed.
I was a little too ham there.
I just have always found with Mr. N changing up your pacing does wonders for you because a lot of characters have patterns they want to do, and Mr. N can change his pattern whenever he wants.
Yeah. In the air or on the ground, as long as you have the meter.
As long as you have the meter, you can approach and GTFO back to the starting position, and they can say, well, that was a waste, but then they at least know that
you can get out of the way. Yeah, they know like they can't just kick where you are.
Yep. He has to have these. He has to have these tools. Actually, I disagreed with the long time ago. There was a balance change when they added Johnny Gat to let him kick out, to let him do the floaty out of kick. I disagreed with that, but it made the game easier for me. So. You used to have to only do it on an empty jump. You couldn't do it out of kick. Which meant that you had to be more patient when pushing people into the corner, because you had to float, get into a position where you had to they had to react to your kick speed, and then you float, and then their reaction just got them killed. Good job cornering him.
Thank you. He's about to get Kickfactor though, so.
Yeah. Fine. You can just hold a position.
Oh. Just enough to get out the way.
He has Kickfactor. You jump higher. Oh wow. Yeah. I'm not too worried about a dive until we're trying to play footsies, and then I'm very worried about a dive.
Oh, the belly.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm keeping score, but I think I won 1 as dive jump.
Yeah,
but...
it's 1-2 right now.
Okay.
According to your top score sheet. I'm not sure how accurate that is.
I think I missed 1 when I won as dive jump. But
yeah, so I'll comment on you're kicking too much with the dive jump there. Like you didn't have to kick forward there. You gave him plenty of time to react. There you go. That's just an experience kick, but you had it.
Oh.
Like the dive jump is a bit of a slower game.
Yes, it is.
And I think you're trying to go a bit too fast for it.
I'll try to be a little bit slower. It's just I tend to just commit to an attack when I'm on the dive. It's really weird. I don't commit when I'm on the kick jump, but I do commit when I'm on the dive jump.
If you flip that, reverse it.
All right.
That's 3-1 or 3-1, not 3-2. Come on.
Yeah. If anyone in the chat wants to see a different matchup besides this one, let us know. If not, I'm gonna kind of go through the character select to look for a different character. Axem, if you want to jump in, let me see if Axem's in the channel or not. But
I'm in. I'm here.
Oh hey, yeah. If you can go ahead and I'll look for your room. Do you have a certain character that you want to play?
I could do whoever.
I'd say Uncle Sensei would be a good show off to show off someone who can also do air control, but can also jump just as high. Like, technically, Redacted has air control with her escape tool, but her kick just loses to ends somehow, which is very weird, but I'll take it. But Uncle Sensei, the changing position in the air, just Mr. N, I've historically found struggles with that an awful lot.
I can play either side. If you want to play the end side too, that works as well. Axem,
I'm
what
just,
did you want
I'm
to
just
do?
commentating.
Oh no, I was referring to Axem.
I could try either.
Do you want to play
no
N or
guarantees
Sensei?
on either side, but I guess by chance we were doing this a couple of days ago, so we could just reprise what we did. Then I can pick Sensei, you can pick N.
Yeah, sounds good.
Mhm.
Axem. All right.
Is there anyone who plays Baz still?
Yeah, Axem plays bass.
Okay, well. Baz I found was a pure skill matchup.
Man, can I get a lift?
There's a lot of fake outs on both sides.
a lot of button presses on both sides. I know that.
Yeah, a lot of fake outs, a lot of button presses. N has some BS kicks, which I appreciated, but the Baz players do not. Where it should be a Baz win, but N wins.
I'm
But
going
that was
with
another-
Kick Gem here, mainly because Uncle Sensei's weaknesses are in his movement, and I feel like as Mr. N, if you can come down on him a little bit faster, you can catch him before he does like a switch out to get out the way. And most of your height is relevant only after he gets super jump. After he gets super jump, most of the time he can out jump you. So the dive gem has a little bit less. Like I don't want to float in the air as much against Sensei.
This is one I've only got the experience on the kick side as well.
Yeah.
I never talked to much gas about this matchup in particular, but Uncle Sensei covers you very well.
Yeah.
This is GTFO censored. You have to pay attention to what stance he's in constantly. You have to accept that he can get higher than you. You kind of have to hope for not even a forced mistake, but a kick like that.
I actually
Just a little
saw
bit
it. I
higher.
just pressed a little too fast.
Yeah. Just a little bit higher.
The button reactions are there. Oh, okay. A little bit longer.
Footsie game. It's kicking you. But this is one I consider Uncle Sensei favored. You can.
Yeah, I think I have it 6-4 for Sensei because of that.
Yeah,
Super jump is too strong.
you can cover it, but it's the tricks that work on everyone else don't work on Sensei. He doesn't care.
Oh,
There it is. Just a
But
little bit longer.
you didn't even headshot him.
I'm
That's the other
trying to.
fun
I'm
thing.
aiming for the head. That's the problem. I don't want to hit him in the body when I have that. Oh,
No, that's broken.
I account for the extra speed there.
Oh yeah, I just realized that my mic wasn't working.
Oh, okay. Were you talking
Oh,
earlier?
Yeah, I was talking.
Why are they ignoring me?
Yeah.
All right.
How much of an impact would you say that the Superman kick makes in this matchup? Because I think it. My thought is that it's pretty major because it gives Sensei.
It gives him
reactable, of
horizontal.
course.
It gives him horizontal in an air fight where Mr. N does not have horizontal. Like in the case you both have a high jump, he just wins that trade 100% of the time. In the case that he's a bit higher, he can stance change in air and he'll win that trade. It's only at the very bottom when a well-timed Mr. N has the advantage. So both of his kicks have an advantage, situational advantage. The Superman kick has the risk of going over you, and at that point Mr. N has time to get meter, to reposition, to make the fight again. But Mr. N can't really approach most people safely, especially Uncle Sensei. So it's not that much of a danger. It just gives Mr. N more resources.
So
But there's the danger you saw was when he lands though. That's when Mr. N needs to hit, at least with kick gem.
Yeah. So Sensei landing into hand stance is his most vulnerable position because his kickback is a lot worse. Oh, I'm like an inch off of being at the right spot. Yeah, if I can land like right next to Sensei when he's doing that dive kick or that dive punch, I can get in a really good position to kick him. But I'm getting tagged on the foot there, or the belly, I should say.
I said this was the hard matchup, at least for my playstyle,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have an answer for it aside from play better.
Fair enough.
So that's sometimes the answer to a situation. It's like Jafeli. If you're fighting Jafeli, just play better. You outspeed, you out-height him. He has to be very patient to make it work. Just play better.
Oh.
Is that nickel? Hey, here we go. Hey. Is that nickel?
He can
oh,
actually
it's
switch.
long legs.
Yeah, Uncle Sensei can actually switch out of that if you give him a little bit more time.
Often, if you kick gem, you could just immediately on top of him, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the kick gem allows you to catch it a little bit before he has a chance to switch.
No, even if he switches, you land on top of him and you're fine.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh.
That's-
Ooh, the belly.
yeah, that's happened. That will happen to you many times in this matchup. Like, I'm not sure why Sid showed this matchup, but it is probably Mr. N's worst in my opinion.
Trying to think of what his is worst. I think Fencer's pretty bad.
Well, I guess I do have little experience with Fencer. I've only played like 6 total, so.
But I would say Sensei and Kung are like the next ones.
Kung is the special case.
Yeah.
Like if you want to show the Kung, it's the boring one where neither player has an advantage, so the first player to get bored loses. That's how I would describe that matchup.
Well, I consider it like Kung can really mess up.
Kung has a huge unreactable zone for Mr. N. Like
Yeah.
there's like Mr. N has this tiny zone where you can't be in, which is basically underneath his belly fat, and Kung has like a quarter of the map where Mr. N can't be in. But Kung can't do a long range kick because Mr. N can effortlessly react to anything outside of the unreactable zone.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just kind of becomes a bit of a stalemate of a lot of posturing, meter voting, and hoping for the best from both players, is, in my opinion, is that matchup. But I don't think it's Mr. N unfavored. I just think it's boring.
Okay, fair enough. I find it so because she controls the distance. Well, one Axem, awesome, well played. Thanks for sweeping me. 2,
Sorry.
for Kung, I feel like she can control the ground so well that she can kind of inch Mr. N back, and when Mr. N doesn't have meter, he's going to lose a round getting back to a point where he's threatening. So that's why I give it a little bit edge to Kung. But I do
She
agree.
still has to, in the case she's forcing you into the corner, she has to watch out for you just doing a little jump and jumping over her, or even worse, kicking her if she's trying to corner you.
Yeah.
There are a couple escape tools that Mr. N has. But yes, she can make ground easier than Mr. N can, but it's not 100% safe to make up that ground. There are ways for him to punish, especially with the dive gem, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll have to play it out a little bit more, but let's see. If there's no requests in chat, Laitome, did you have a character you wanted to go to next?
I want to show how bad this matchup is. I'm gonna pick Shoals.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, looks like we got
I'll
some other people
counterpoint
in
it that
here,
an expert Shoals isn't that bad, but yes, it's pretty bad.
too. Let's go ahead and jump into Laitome's.
If I recall correctly, this matchup is horrifically N-favored.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Shoals is the noob-friendliest character because it's like, oh wow, she has a great position, multiple kicks, can float in the air, and then suddenly you're like, wait a minute, how does this guy always beat me? Because GTFO dodges her attacks effortlessly, he can get higher than her. She basically has to dodge, reposition, and then corner punish if she's an expert player. That's how you beat Mr. N.
What gem?
I would go kick gem.
Zedek to your duds.
Only because dive gem doesn't matter that much. Like Mr. N with dive gem will get over you no matter what, so you might as well get a little bit of speed.
But this is definitely Mr. N favored. So
Yeah.
if Thanos can't win this, they can...
Mr. N just being able to get above Shoals, and Shoals doesn't want anyone getting above them, and so she'll try to position to get above them. But yeah, there's just not much. Yeah,
Not much you can do with this.
and Mr. N is more efficient at baiting in the air than Shoals is. So when you both get in the air for some moves, this is that's gonna last longer than Shoals' meter.
Well, you can see, like, I tried to hover as long as I could, and like even move back a bit. If Capconian's watching, he's probably hanging his head in shame.
Probably. You do have that escape tool, which is nice, but it still just doesn't get you a kill.
Yeah, it needs a meter for it.
He needs meter, and it doesn't get you a kill. It just gets you to safety,
Yeah.
and the safety isn't always worth it. You want the kicks in this game.
Blabuar's got the low emote there.
It's funny because Kenny's stance is actually pretty decent.
I don't know what's wrong with different with Kenny, but yes, it's true. Kenny can just be weird, and also like even if he positions well, he can get above or run away. It's very Mr. N favorite. The counterplay I found is literally multiple position changes in air. Like bait out a counter, change the position in the air twice, and maybe you have a chance of kicking him.
I would agree with you. I think you want to try to be as unpredictable as possible because you're gonna have to make N make a mistake. That's basically what you're trying to force him into a mistake.
That's the one matchup that N doesn't have to bait you. You have to bait him.
Exactly.
And that sounds, which is weird because Shoals isn't that weak against other characters, but against N, it's just somehow a massacre. And also because her meter costs are higher. It's another big thing. He gets his faster, hers comes slower and costs more.
Oh, there you go.
That's how you do it.
You took a round.
You can't punish on those. I've tried for so long to punish as Shoals lands, but the timing is so tight that you almost never hit it. And now she has to go across, and you get free meter.
Oh, I missed it. Okay. Yeah, let's go in for the kill here.
They change up the pace with Kickfactor and make them panic.
I must go. My planet needs me.
Oh, okay. I got too close. Nice. Okay, so this is the one thing that if Shoals gets a concuss, very likely in her favor.
Yes, she does line up very nicely for a headshot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just flipped my buttons there while trying to build meter.
And that's the freebie. That's what you don't do against them there.
Yeah. I remember if I were playing on the other side, using the ground special is something that's not expected a lot, so trying to throw those in. Throwing very like aggressive YOLOs can be helpful. Blabluer asks, can Shoals do anything by backing up in the air? The problem is you end up wasting a lot of meter, and
she can, but then she doesn't have
better
meter. Yeah, she can,
and
but then
will
she
outlast Trolls in the air like almost all the time because N builds better, he builds faster, he burns slower.
And even if you dodge his kick by going backwards, you are no longer in a position to punish him because your kick, you have to turn and rotate before you can kick, and by that time he'll be on the ground, and who knows what he'll be doing because you can't even see him because you're in the air, as it turns out. So
yeah, and in the situation where you're both in the air and trying to hover, that's what I was trying to do, is just move backwards with my hover, so that way I wouldn't be hit by the kick angle. 50-50 if that works, because it entirely depends on whether or not N just has enough meter to wait you out.
Yeah, I would say, like, if we were to play it on the opposite end, as Shoals, you're really trying to mix up your play so you're so unpredictable that you can catch N with really dumb stuff. Like just doing a YOLO from the beginning sometimes can work, just because N will be like, why did you do that? That no one would do that because they can get kicked. But hopefully you just catch them in their blind spots.
Yeah, it says a lot about how bad a matchup is if one of your best options is just YOLO.
I mean, I feel like for any matchups where you don't have your options, then you have to make use of your very high risk options, and YOLO is one of those high risk options.
Again, I will clarify that if he does get the concussion, he can perma-concuss Mr. N.
Oh yes, Shoals can definitely.
That's one where it's actually hard to get the belly in front of the foot. She has enough height that she can just patiently wait for your desperate jump to die down and then kick you in the head again.
Yeah.
This from above.
But that's not really worth the.
Round one.
Of course, you have to get 2 headshots for that to happen because.
Oh, I can't run back that far.
No, you cannot.
One down.
Very few kicks you can outrun.
Yeah, I could have just jumped that one. I just wanted to test out that running one.
You can outrun Redacted, and you can outrun Jafeli, depending on the strength of his kick, obviously. But See, like, how much effort did that take?
I should be
get
doing a
nothing.
double jump there. Yeah,
But
exactly.
Mr. N missing.
Round 3 Divekick.
And on those times when you're riding, if you just dived, you would have just kicked him. So
It doesn't help in this matchup that Shoals is slow enough that N can basically just react to whatever Shoals does.
yeah, there's no unreactable
Yeah.
range against Dr. Shoals, which is a huge weak point.
Yep.
Like, what do I do? What do I do here?
I don't know. That's the thing. Oh.
Like, if you don't kick, he's not going to be great at kicking you, but that's not a recipe for winning. Not kicking
Yeah.
your opponent doesn't win you in this game.
5 Divekick.
Wait up the kick. Oh no, he held on to it. There you go. So the kick there is suicide. When you're concussed against Dr. N, Jesus. Against both of them
Ooh,
combined
okay.
into one character.
And my missed input gets me around.
Round 6
I got a little too close to the reaction, or my reaction times.
See, there's not much, like when you're in that corner there, N can try to take a corner position when you're kicking, but that's very reaction time based.
Ooh, dang. Okay. So that's a
Yeah,
lot faster than I
he-
expected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
trying to
swing-
fake you out with the ground special low kick is basically my best bet. And you almost have Kickfactor.
And
Oh, I tried to get the cross.
Round
that's the Mr. N on top of you power point that he has. And then, oh, so he gets a bunch of meter back. Oh no, you're on dive gem, so it's not as bad.
I think I would have had you there, but I don't know how to time resets.
Don't worry, that's also Capconian has, even though he's played shows for thousands of hours, he still
Nice.
he still missed that an
That's
awful
all that
lot.
matters.
Like that falling kick, Capconian misses that too. Like it's not an easy timing. I'm just putting that out there. I remember when sometimes we've had long matches and it looks like he should kick me, but I just fall in time.
This from above. Round 1
I think it's probably safe to say that maybe it's to the point where it's like risky enough that you want to go for I gotta go a little higher. That you want to go for headshots. Like you prioritize aiming for headshots rather than body because you know it can lead to a win or at least better situations. Because if N doesn't have a neck pillow, it's a lot different. Oh, I missed. Oh.
Ooh, I actually would have had you there if I
Yeah, I didn't know where I was, so I'm like, am I gonna kick the head here? Nope, I went too far.
And you also have the kind of unfair headshot that you have with the inside foot. You can kick a bit lower than other people can to get a headshot.
Uh-huh. Oh, too fast.
Round 4 Divekick.
I'm dead. Oh! Oh, I tried to kick back. It didn't come out.
And again, that's the inside speed that I mentioned a long time ago as an offensive power point
Yeah,
for
on
Mr.
the
N.
overlap.
When you're on top of each other, he wins that.
And now you have the meter just outlast me. And now I can't like threaten you by going high anymore because you just spent half a century up there. Yeah.
Mr. N wins.
No.
I got
you cannot.
a game
Yeah.
that's pretty good considering.
I would be happy taking one game.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? Axem, you want to bring out your Baz?
We could try it.
All right, let's do that.
So yeah, this is a fairly skill-based matchup, in my opinion. A Baz fake out catches you. You obviously don't want that, and he doesn't really care about your fake outs. That is but you do have to fake him out because he has good rotations. If he overcommits with a long swing, it's a freebie, but he doesn't have to ever do that.
No, he doesn't.
Your gems.
Like some people can't punish his long swing. Mr. N certainly can, but he doesn't have to do it against Mr. N.
Here's a
It's a
question.
bit of a risky match.
I know you've done kick gem, but do you think kick gem jumps high enough that you can do kick gem reliably?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like sometimes I want the kick jump so I can catch him doing a
Again,
lightning.
you're talking to the person whose entire goal was kick the opponent. So anything that made me kick faster and more reliably was a better strategy-wise.
One.
How can a god lose?
Round two.
And there's reasons to want to be above the opponent, which no, didn't go quite far enough.
Headshot.
That was quite a blow.
I think it's also worth noting that
Round
N is shorter than most characters, so things that would hit him, such as Souls resets or some Basilo kicks, will miss N.
That's true. It's
That
very
maybe
wide,
Kenny-
so I don't notice that much.
That may be Kenny's difference with Shoals, that Shoals is a giant and Kenny is not.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I think the difference is that air bullet just is so much easier to build than the amount of meter needed to beat N's air game.
Yeah, it's a lot more threatening. Oh, I should have ran.
Nice and ankle.
Yeah, also
That-
bullet just allows you to like get a proper setup.
Round six.
That is
Rather
the
than-
best way to get kicked, though. If you're going to get kicked, you should get kicked running away. I don't know why I believe that, but I did. Yep.
For some reason, I thought I could react to that, but he went with way
You
too
can.
fast. Yeah, I
can.
just not in that position. I think I grounded myself too early.
Okay, see the frustration of bass players everywhere. Mr. N can kick you out of that. I'm sure other
Yeah.
people can too, but
Yeah, Mr. N is probably one of the better ones because he can kick so fast and it's below him, so it's not like you're passing the front of his kick. All right.
Yes, from above.
but this was a matchup I have some fond memories of, even though trying to chase down a roping man is not easy.
You can actually like pressure Baz's air meter build,
Oh, nice.
mostly because he's one of the few characters that can actually reach him high and high enough as well.
Oh, kick, please.
Round
That's not too uncommon if you're floating to the
Yeah.
air, Bass. And you notice your chase down is
Oh, I
weak,
thought I had
but your
that
chase
one.
down gets you meter. So
Yeah.
God lose.
there's trade-offs.
round four.
Cold reception.
No one really feels that threatened from Mr. N chase down, but when he's been funny with meter, you suddenly feel very threatened.
Ooh, nice.
Round
That feels like another familiar bass trap. So.
I think I could have got hit 3 times in that sequence.
You could have hit him 3 times too. You're both
Yeah.
playing really close to comfortable with each other.
Oh, the belly kick.
round
He had the float.
Oh,
the Baz wins.
True Afro says the
Yeah,
references
they
in this
really,
game
well, a good
haven't
number of
aged
them have
well.
really dated the game. True Afro.
Yes.
Tied up now, 1-1.
Like,
1-1, I think. Yeah.
yeah, the Baz himself, as a reference, wasn't like relevant when it was created. So
Round one.
I mean, I didn't even know the references back when the game was big.
I'm all big is in air quotes, I believe. Like, Iron Galaxy's,
In air
bigger.
quotes.
Iron Galaxy's put a lot of love and fighting game, like community pride into this game, but it didn't mean it was accepted. So that's why I was one of the best players on Mr. N, because it wasn't this huge popular game.
I would say that that's not true. I think that you were good because you put the time in and you learned how to use them effectively. So whether or not it was more popular, I think that's
If it was more popular, it
irrelevant.
would have been comparatively worse. As
No, because you could have just learned more, because you would have had more more other people to learn from.
But I really was willing to just get kicked an awful lot to learn spacing with Mr. N, which
Yeah.
is always someone's idea of fun. Like,
Round six.
why not learn on a character who will win earlier than Mr. N? Well, because at Mr. N is harder and harder to face on the higher echelons.
Trying really hard for that headshot.
Round 7.
My life is dead.
Yeah, hard to cross that.
Round
You had a couple kick opportunities that you missed, but
Ooh,
see,
nice.
they're getting the Baz hates Mr. End comment there.
I'm gonna switch up to the kick champ.
Oh, mine was already known to not be the greatest of guys. I'm sure he was worse, but he was already all his things are making fun of him in this. Mr.
I don't
N.
know. I don't want to necessarily comment on Marn. This, you know,
I don't know enough about it, so I may be commenting on something I probably shouldn't be. But they were already making fun of him at this point in like 2012 when this came out, 2013.
I mean, this is poking fun because the people who like they agreed to put this in,
Do it.
so it
Well,
wasn't
I
like
can't
they were
imagine
doing it.
Markman was too upset either, or Jabali, whose face lives on in Twitch forever.
This from above.
Yeah, this game was 10 years ago. Plenty of could have happened in that time.
The world keeps turning.
That's not good.
Round 2.
Oh, not fast enough. Oops. Excuse me.
Round 3.
It looks like Jinx is remembering a bit of a positioning now against you.
Oh, yes. And I'm thinking,
It has been a while.
I think my style would have been better for the dive jump. Now that I'm like still stuck with jumping and I'm not high enough now.
Yep.
Ooh.
The spacing battle is going much more in his favor.
Round 5.
Like in my head, I'm
Oh,
telling you
nice.
when to kick back kick, but you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Round 6.
That's happened.
Oh, kick! Oh, I thought I had that one.
Wins.
That might have been a trade if the kick came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well played, well played.
Was that set? I kind of lost count.
3-1 on you. I won the
Okay,
first
okay.
one, then you swept the rest. If there's no other requests, let's see. We're almost on 7:30, so maybe a couple more sets.
I'm trying to think of another character that had a polarizing outcome, like Kung Pao or Dr. Shoals or Uncle Sensei, but really, Fencer, you said, is really weak, really strong against Mr. N, but I don't have the experience because that was around the time I stopped. Jolly Gat was fine. As soon as you as soon as you headshotted Jafali, that was fine, and he wasn't that hard to headshot. Like dive and kick, I said I believe with Mr. N favored. Shoals obviously tremendously. Redacted is an interesting one. Redacted is only good because N's kick beats hers. So that is one of those weird. Redacted kicks so fast and at such an angle that N's kicks almost always win in an even trade.
I learned the red versus N from Mush, and it's heavily favored N for sure.
Yeah.
Red's weaknesses are her kickback. If it can get chased, that's a problem, and N can do that. And N also doesn't worry about Feral, and that's one of Red's main tools. So
that just puts your head exactly where he wants it to be.
Exactly, puts it under. So those two those two things in combination, plus the headshot chain, just put it heavily favored on N's side.
Yeah, but people don't play him much because again, you get kicked a lot learning him.
You know what would be good is Laitome. Do you have how do you play Markman?
Not with items.
Okay, so let's go with Kenny, and then maybe Axem we can end with Markman. Markman end?
We give it a try. Sure.
Okay, cool.
With his kick speed, Markman's items are just fun. In my opinion, they made the matchup more fun because his kick speed was bad enough that N was favored 6-4 in any trades. It's just the items change things up.
Yeah, and I think the his kickback is really good against Mr. N because he can get out of the way.
Someone give me a stick
There's the
to
Twitch
borrow?
chat character.
Your gems.
What's his name again? Just Twitch? No. The Straight Jacket character. I can't remember the name. It's been so long.
Oh,
Oh,
stream.
stream.
Stream, yeah. Are there any stream players around still? Because that was a treat when I forget the guy who played it, but it was a stream main.
Demetalof. I believe.
Demetalof
Yes.
was the main one. There was also Urtalone, I think. And,
Okay, Demetalof is the one I was thinking of.
Mhm.
That matchup was a treat. But stream is also one of those why am I playing this characters. So
I feel like N does have the angles on stream, and can run away from the kick as well.
it's if stream kicks early, yes, but if he doesn't, then. But that was another one of those fun matchups for me.
Oh.
Not fun as in a free win, just fun as in this is interesting.
It is interesting because playing stream is interesting. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, I gotta change the scores. We'll do that in the next one.
I can't win
Oh, I
matchups
had
I'm not
it.
even playing.
There's the Markman kicks.
Round 4.
And then there's the
Oh,
Shoals.
maybe I can change it here.
Oh, you don't know what character he's playing. Like I always just.
Yeah,
kinda let
obviously,
this-
I have to guess every time.
Well, no, when you're headshotting against Kenny, I always approach like it's the worst case scenario, and it's
Yeah, worst case scenario.
that he rolled kick when he was dizzy.
Mr. N wins.
Because that's a great way to get punished, is thinking that he has someone else. Although seeing suddenly a stream roll when he's dizzy is just hilarious. Like, oh okay, I'll just wait a second and kick him.
Yes, from above.
I think stream plays decently well in concussed because his kickback is still really good even if he's concussed. It runs so far away. Oh.
Yeah, I want to force footsies on you.
I got a little greedy. I was like, oh, you're S-kill. I just have to back you up to the corner.
Like, we're both wide, but...
Oh.
Oh my god!
You had it. You just sailed over.
So S-kill was kind of a pain because counter is pretty good when you know someone's just trying to kick you, but that still costs a lot of meter, and he can be trapped fairly well.
That was kick, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you're redacted.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have no meter, so I could just react.
Unless he gets S-kill.
Yes.
You motherfucker!
Yes.
How are you?
Inside, never be on top of N.
I mean, I was hoping to graze your shoulder. Yeah, I just have to give that at that point.
Yeah, you were out of meter. No more tricks.
Now you got stream.
Yep.
Yeah, I find
God, where are my
N
dive
is pretty good
rolls?
against stream. Yeah, that was one of the worst rolls to roll against N when you're concussed. Is redacted is
Redacted.
I
Can't
mean,
really get
like,
away.
not only is it obvious who I am, but like, I also can't move.
That was like as I said,
I think we got
when
one
you're
more.
Kenny
no.
against N, don't move until you have to.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he knows who you are, he can just, oh, okay, I played against this style now.
I know my
Well, half
approach.
the time I can rely on the fact that I know the kickbacks better than my opponent.
And that was just my experience with Kenny. Is as soon as my Kenny opponent showed me who he was, I would just play that against that. Well, like obviously that's what you do in normal, but it applies double when they're hit concussed. Because some characters you can approach as N and some you just can't. Or at least you have to approach in a different way.
Ooh, that was a bad punish.
Round 4. Dive kick.
Oh yeah, that's good. I hit you. You're Sensei. That's bad.
Yeah. I didn't realize who I was.
Sensei is one of the better characters against Mr. N. That height is very good, and you always have it. You're always in handstands technically.
6. Dive kick.
Oh, it's the end mirror.
Oh, nice.
Round 7 dive kick.
Technique.
Oh! I missed pressing kick.
I hit your feet. I definitely hit your feet there.
Okay, so you should know feet are not hittable below the knee when you're in a regular jumping mode. They don't have hitbox.
I know, but N's freaking legs are so stubby, it's hard to tell.
They are stubby, and normally you get his belly anyway. All right, Axem, let's take a look at the Markman. Yeah. If you want to go N side, let me know too. If you feel like more comfortable on the N side.
I'm not even sure for this matchup. I could do Markman though. We give it a try.
Yeah, sounds good.
I only recall playing against one Markman, and I never found the match. But he was a good player. Like, he was often top of the charts with me, but I forget his name again.
Are you talking about Insomnia?
Insomnia?
Yeah.
Probably. So he was often top of the charts when I was doing the dailies with me, but I never found that whatever the tools were happening that he had, I never found too hard to deal with. Infinite Pit just kind of makes, and you don't approach him because he can be on top of you literally in a second because of the pit. Glue does keep him there, but if you miss, you die as well. And Poison, well, oh well, he gets the meter back anyway.
Yeah, I would say that there is pressure for Mr. N to come forward because Markman's upkick is very good against Mr. N. And that kind of drives the whole matchup is Mr. N is making sure Markman doesn't build upkick, and that can cause problems. But if you wait long enough, Markman's going to win. So there is pressure to move forward, I guess.
I guess I never felt that the upkick was well, I'm never above him. It's me. I'm on the ground trying to push him in the corner.
You stay low.
I'm not going to be trying to float above Markman where he can kick me like that.
I don't think of Mr. N as a good person.
No.
How fitting.
A trade.
Round 2 dive kick.
Why am I watching the Twitch stream? Discord.
I have both there. See, that's what I often found happen was you can just force him to feel awkward and give him the boot. No, you can't do much with this now.
Oh.
That glue kind of saved him sometimes. And you stopped yourself from kicking him there, but it's fine.
Round 4 dive kick.
Confidence.
Whoops.
Return policy.
Round 5 dive kick.
Oh, I missed.
Like, I don't find his kicks threatening enough to be too worried about it, like you would expect, because he's another horizontal kicker, like I can speak, like Kung Pao, he just is slower than she is.
Yeah, he has that startup,
zone.
and it's not as fast for sure.
No, he doesn't have anywhere near the unreactable zone that Kung Pao has, which is huge, because then you can actually approach and not be like, oh man, if I go one pixel further, I actually can't react if she just dive kicks right now.
Ooh, nice. One of the things that is when he gets enough meter is the feint is pretty good.
I've kicked him out of feints. Like, I've kicked Insomniac out of feints. Like, he's trying to dodge me and I'm still kicking him. It doesn't matter.
Nice.
So, I'm sure that wasn't, again, I'm sure that wasn't so fun for him, but I didn't complain about it.
No, you cannot.
Your special means nothing. I still kick you. Oh.
That was the first match, right?
Yep. That was,
Yeah.
first.
Alright. Having too much fun here and keep forgetting to do the scores.
That's good that you're still enjoying it.
And a very smooth character to play.
That felt like that's what I want to do. That first round there, exactly how I want to see Mr. N played. Just come in, he kicks you, he misses, you punish him, done. Boom.
That's the style
me.
you love to play.
That is my style. That is like what I like seeing. And
Were you going for the
so sure.
thunder kick there?
No, I was just sure you're going to jump in as an approach, and I would like back up.
And again, there's the mix-up as Mr. N.
Yep, and that was just too slow.
Just make them wonder, like, okay, the first 3 rounds he started with an upper kick, and now he's doing nothing. Oh, shoot.
Okay. Nice guess.
It'll work occasionally.
Round 6 dive kick.
And again, who cares about the poison? Like, you get the meter back so quick.
Oh, darn.
That you care about a little bit, but you just kick through it. As safely as
I
you
hope
can.
that Markman doesn't react punish.
Yeah. And again, you're fine just kick back kicking, getting meter when this is happening.
And now the fun begins for Markman.
Just don't worry about that. No.
Yeah, I shouldn't have jumped. I was like, I just wanted to jump to kick, but I chickened out. Ooh, nice.
Choke detection
Could-
warning.
Oh, choking.
Choke detection warning.
He's got
We'll
one
see.
up kick left.
Yeah, I know.
You started so aggressive, and now you're a bit nervous.
Oh no! Too close. Well played, well played.
That was another moment where I was thinking kickback time, and you didn't do it. I mean, I can claim anything, but it legitimately was, I suppose.
No, it's fine.
I can claim I was thinking whatever I want. You can't prove otherwise.
Yes, from above. Round 1. Dive kick.
My roundhouse went out.
Round 2. Dive kick.
Was that a feint or a backdash?
Feints, but then I kick back instead of a neutral.
Okay. Ooh, too close.
Round 4. Dive kick.
Nice MA call.
That's a lot of neutral jumping you're doing, though.
Round
Yeah, I always prefer to at least land with the kick to get some meter, even super close to the ground and
Oh,
with a
yeah.
better position. And I guess my playstyle would be as Mr. N. Don't be afraid of someone until they've proven that you have to be afraid of them,
headshot.
Aw.
because you are faster than they think.
For sure.
Round 6. Dive
That spring is going to make things weird.
Oh. The
There you go.
Kickfactor made me ballsy there. I was like, I think I could pass this fast enough.
7. Dive kick.
What you should be trying to do.
Oh.
That's broken.
Round 8. Dive kick.
So if you're just trying to kick his foot at that point, the up kick will probably miss you. It's the
Yeah,
other thing.
that's a plan. Just whether I can do it or not.
Well, yeah, splitting it. I agree. It's easy to say a lot of things in fighting games. Just do this combo and you're fine. Performing it reliably is a different story.
Just hit these 15 frame perfect
darn.
inputs.
Exactly.
Good job.
Yeah, you can do a back forward circle in 2 frames, right?
Yes, from above. Round 1. Dive kick.
And I also always played with arrow keys, but that's just weird preference.
Round
So which one?
As opposed to arrow keys, left and right.
Oh, okay.
I think everyone has their weird keyboard preference.
Yep.
Mine's MK, so that's what I use.
3.
And just-
Dive kick.
Oh.
You started on Mortal Kombat and you're gonna reference it every single time you can.
Money man.
Oh, I thought I kicked.
Right on D-pad and square from the lure. That's definitely
Wow.
different.
Yep. That's both fingers. I only played with 2 fingers too. It was just index and middle.
Actually, when I played on controller, that was actually my layout.
Really?
Actually, no, my layout was like down on D-pad and X.
Same idea, different directions.
Yeah.
Nice
Ooh, that
MA
rhythm
call.
was not good for me. I should have backed up.
Round 6. Dive kick.
Oh!
Just barely not enough for that second double jump, I guess.
Yeah.
Round 7. Dive kick.
Oh.
Oh, that's okay.
You gotta love those desperate spring runs.
Boing, 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 boing. Right.
Dive kick.
Oh no.
Nice MA call.
Well
Losing
played,
to
Axel.
footsies.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I was wondering
I'll-
whether she were more for items or for fundamentals, but I think yeah, kind of have to switch it up based on what N is doing.
Yeah.
And M is wanting to put pressure on you if you're going for items, and actually, he pretty much always wants to put pressure on you.
Right.
It's just sometimes you are in the very rare safe position where he can't do anything. He has to reposition himself, and then you can do what you want. Try to get some items out, but that's often like you have an item on the board. I don't feel threatened in that matchup. Is kind of my history with it.
Mhm.
I don't feel that Markman is ever in a position where I'm. The only reason he's going to hit me is because I overcommit. Is what I feel like in that matchup personally.
Yeah. I don't think he's not threatening until he has his tools, and
And
takes
even
him a
then,
while.
as I said, I disagree with that. I don't feel his tools threaten an aggressive end. Because, okay, he kicks 3 times. Cool. Most of the time he's going to go over my head because I've already dodged him or I've already kicked him. And, okay, good job using your tools, sir. That's kind of how I always saw that matchup. It's not impossible to lose, obviously. But, like, there's no... The closest thing to a 9-10 is probably N Shoals. And even that, I'm not sure is a 9-1. But it's
I'm gonna hold to my belief that Sensei versus Jeff is still the worst matchup in the game.
I've only played Jafeli. I've never actually played Jafeli against Sensei. I only played him when just fooling around. So
Super Jump owns the matchup.
that doesn't shock me.
Yeah, it's literally there's not much you can do, and the bigger your head gets, the worse it gets.
Yep, that is the fun part of Jafeli. The better you're doing, the worse the game is going to go for you.
All right. Any closing comments on Mr. N?
Play him. It's just expect pain, but also once you find out the positions where you don't want to be in, your enemy is going to find you in a lot of positions you want to be in. It's a long-suffering game to learn to play him well, but especially if you're patient enough to learn the air style as well, which is all about pinning your opponent in the corner, making them hate this game and think it's totally unfair that this fat man is bullying you. Or if you're playing a hyper speed, I'm just going to do random things, but it's only random to you. I actually have a plan here type of aggression. Both are very viable with Mr. N, and both are strong and weak against different characters and playstyles. Being able to be versatile with Mr. N is absolutely devastating for an average Divekick opponent. You will crush once you're comfortable with both playstyles, you'll crush people until they realize what you're trying to do. And even then, you just switch up to another style. He's surprisingly strong for how blatant his weaknesses are. It's just, like all things, he takes a lot of practice. I feel he's one of the most rewarding characters with the most practice in this game.
I agree with that because of he has so many options on the ground and in the air with his ground special and his air special.
I think he's not a good person, and B, his hitboxes really turn people off, and I can understand that. I just thought the pink fat man was funny, and I stuck with it. And then it turned out that I ended up learning him pretty well by sticking with it. But if you want to play and win immediately, he's not the character to do that, which kind of sucks because if the theory would be, well, why would I put all the work in a character that doesn't win immediately when I can put the work in a character that does win immediately and get instantly rewarded? Is because I believe Mr. N has a higher ceiling than most characters in this game. So expertly played Mr. N will beat an expertly played kick and dive in most matchups most of the time. That's my argument for Mr. N.
It's a good argument.
Now, you can disagree, and there's three people in this game who've played it longer than I have. Like, I stopped playing this. The meta could have shifted wildly. It didn't appear like there's any wild meta shifts when I was gone, but the meta could have shifted wildly. There are counters that may have been discovered that I didn't know about, but in my experience, like, just being willing to put in the grind with Mr. N pays dividends a shocking amount.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, just because a lot of Mr. N revolves around knowing the spacing well. And if you know the spacing well with his fat body, then you can take advantage of all his pluses, because that's really his fat body is his main weakness. So. And
we mean when you say spacing well, I mean, like, did anyone ever play Quake 2 multiplayer or a Quake game multiplayer where power-ups respawn on a timer and professional players will be on that timer the second they respawn? Mm-hmm. That level of spacing. You're not consciously thinking about it. You just know this is safe, this is not safe, and as soon as you're in a not safe position, you're already reacting to make it safe. Yep. That's the level of positioning we're talking about with Mr. N to make him good. But once you have that, it's devastating. You have a flying fat man who can do who can kick you in a lot of different ways and corner you in a lot of different ways, and it feels like there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, all the faster characters tend to have that skill ceiling where, if you can maximize, they have a very high potential because they move so fast. Plus, the buttons allow you to react to different situations. And Mr. N has plenty of speed. He just has a large hitbox, and once you take that off of your weakness list, you get to use all that speed very well.
You get to use the air control, you get to use the ground control, you get to use the unique, well, not quite unique, even Deck also has it, but winning on top of people in a speedy kick fight.
Yep.
And that's a lot of power. Just air control and ground control and a unique position where you are the most powerful character in the game. That sounds pretty good to me. Just getting there is a pain. So, and it's Divekick. It's a game about kicking people. So if you find it silly that you're kicking with the inside of your inner soul, then well, that's maybe you gotta accept that's part of the loss too.
Laitome and Axem, thank you for joining in on some games and whipping me as my bad end. I tried to do some end, but I don't know if I can show the.
I like you were getting more
potential.
aggressive by the end, but your positioning was that you missed many opportunities in the earlier games, many. But by the end, yeah, I like seeing the aggression, and you saw how it forced them to change their play style, which is great because you never want your opponent to be comfortable. You want. If you're trying to win in a fighting game, you want your opponent to be not following the game plan they want to follow. You want them following your game plan, and Mr. N can force that. At least I feel he can.
No, definitely. And thank you, Fuzzmosis, for being our guest speaker for today.
And now
sharing
you'll never
your
see
wealth
or
of knowledge
speak
is
of me
awesome.
again.
Huh?
Yes. I stopped playing this game 6 years ago, but I liked playing it. I have fond memories of the game. I recommend any random person watching this video who's never heard of Divekick but somehow is watching this video, pick up the game, give it a shot. It's not going to be expensive. It's a fun fighting game. It has surprising depth if you want to master it. If you don't want to master it, it has surprising fun. The last time I thought about it was because some people were speedrunning it, and like that offended me as a former competitive player, how bad they were. And then I showed them some techniques, and then they sped run it much better. So I was kind of glad to have helped with that. But that was like the last time I thought of Divekick until you messaged me asking if I'd be willing to talk. So.
Well, I think that's an awesome paragraph to end on. Play Divekick, it's fun, and hopefully. You don't need a controller. You can play with a keyboard. I know True Afro said he uses arcade stick buttons. I think the one you saw, like, there's some people who speedrun it and they play. I know Raging Cherry speedruns and plays it. He likes to speedrun with Dive, but he plays with Donkey Kong bongos as his buttons. Yeah. So if you got two buttons, you can play this game. Once again, thanks to everyone who participated, and thank the chat for watching. And we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
Have a good night.